Okay, so this is the mouse that we're going to do. I've attached the booklet that it's on so you can follow along. So the strategy we're going to use is we're going to start by drawing half of it and then mirroring over what we have. Okay, so we're going to start by making half of it and then mirror it over. Right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to draw this line here. So we need to find this curve going up along here. So if you look at that curve, you'll see that it's not a like you couldn't place that curve on a plane, so it's not like a 2D drawing. So what we need to do is we need to draw two curves or two paths for it to follow. It needs to follow one coming up along here like this, so to give it a direction to go against that plane, and also here like this, and then you're going to combine the two of them splines to make that 3D curve. So we'll start anyway by File, New Part. So you want a new part, and we'll click OK. Right, so just before I start, I'm just going to put them all into a folder. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'll go to my Documents and I'll open up a new folder and I'll call it mouse. Or mouse. Call it wireless mouse. Okay, wireless mouse. Okay, so that's the folder that I'm going to put all my parts into. I think there's about 3 or 4 in total. So I'm going to put them all into that folder, and then they'll all be there nicely for us to assemble at the end. So I'm just going to call this part mouse body. So this is like the main part of it. I'm just going to click, oh, named, it's already open, right? Okay, so I'll just call it mouse body 2. Okay. Change that, mouse main body. Okay, so right, so there's my part name, mouse main body. Okay, so let's start anyway by drawing the rectangle that half of that mouse is going to go into. So we want to draw that on the flat plane, the one on the bottom, the top plane. So we got 3 planes in total. Got a front plane, top plane, right plane. Top plane is the one that's lying horizontally, so we want to make that sketch on it. So it says the part is symmetrical with reference to the right reference plane. Open new part, we've named it. Select the top of the reference plane and sketch a rectangle as shown. Right, so click top plane and we want to open a sketch on that. So we'll open our sketch toolbar, sketch, and it turns around to meet you there, and we'll be able to draw on that. So you'll see in the drawing that the rectangle starts on this origin, the point 0, 0, 0. Right, so we want to start the bottom corner of that rectangle on there. So we have a few different options for rectangle. We want to do corner rectangle, which means wherever I click, that's going to be one of the corners. Alright, so we're going to click corner rectangle, and then this pencil opens up with a rectangle on it. We'll start on the origin and it goes up right from there. Right, so we'll click it. Okay, press escape to get out of the rectangle tool, just so we have our cursor again, and we want to dimension it. So we're going to go smart dimension, and we select the side, and we'll make that 1, 2, 2, and then we'll select here, which is this side, which is 28. Okay, so now we have a rectangle, and you will see that we need to make that construction line. So construction lines mean that if we try to make a 3D, something 3D out of it, it won't take into account the construction line ones that are there. Right, so they're kind of guidelines, in other words. Right, so we want to make that for construction. There it is. Right, so we've got our dotted lines. Click out of that. Right, we've got our sketch 1. It says here, rename the sketch. So it's important to name what you're doing. So it's not sketch 1, we're going to rename it. So a delayed double click on, I'll just do that again. Just a delayed double click on the sketch itself. Right, and then we're going to name it reference dim for dimensions. Right, reference dim. Okay, done. Right, so now we've got our sketch done there. Right, Next thing we're going to do is draw this bottom spline. So the mouse is going to be lying here on this surface, and remember we're drawing half of it, so we need to draw this little curve in here. So it says to draw it on the top plane, so it's a new sketch again. So I select top plane, have to have a 2D surface to draw on, and we're going to use the top plane to draw on again. Alright, so I select sketch, so that opens another sketch in my top plane, and I'm going to draw this this spline that we have here. Okay, so to look in at 90 degrees to that, and just make sure you've clicked on the plane, and then space bar, and then this normal to icon here, we'll just turn around so it meets you. It's just a bit easier to draw there. Right, so we want to draw this spline inside here. So here's the spline tool up here, third one in, see it's spline. Alright, so just try and mimic the kind of shape that's there. So we've got one here, we've got it. So as we click the points, it'll give us like an apex of a curve. So we click, that's it, it's about there. Next one comes all the way down, it's a bit below halfway, maybe outside that fella. Okay, there we go. And this fella's a bit inside here, it's just up from the bottom, I'd say. Here will be fine. Alright, and then we'll start going towards the end. Now just be careful what kind of hooks you're getting here. So if I bring this pencil along, you'll see it hooks onto the one above. Now it might so happen that you do have to hook it onto something, but we'll just leave it off everything for now. We just won't hook it onto anything. Right, then to get rid of our tail, it'll keep drawing a spline unless you press escape, and when you press escape it just stops at the last point that you drew. Okay, so open a new sketch, top plane, done. Sketch a 5-point spline as shown to represent the bottom edge of the mouse. Draw only half of the outline, we've already said about that. Make sure that the end points of the spline are coincident with the corners of the rectangle. So in other words, we just need to catch this fella here, and we just drag it so that it meets the top here. Do the same at the bottom corner, there we go there. Right, so there they are. Okay, next thing it says add relations. So use relations on the handles at the end of the spline to create tangency across the line of symmetry. Add horizontal relations to the spline handles. So just go through that. So what that means is, so you can see here that this is like the base of our mouse, alright? And if that's going to double over, you can imagine that once it gets to here, if I imagine that doubled over, you've got a point on top. So you don't want that. You want it to meet nicely at the top here and go down. In other words, to be like tangential up here. For it to be tangential, we need that handle to be horizontal. So if we click on the point, click on the arrow, sorry, the point, click on the point at the end of that handle, see this handle here, and we'll make that horizontal. And now you can see it jumps up to horizontal so that it will meet nicely when we mirror that over later on. Okay, so we'll do the same on the bottom. Click the point and make the bottom handle horizontal. Done. Okay, and then it says a tangent relation. So what it wants you to do, it wants you to make the edge of this come all the way over onto the edge of that rectangle, the reference stem rectangle that we drew. So we want it all the way over to the end here. So to do that, we need a line for it to be tangential to. So we'll just draw any line. You have two options here. You can draw the line and make it a construction line, or you can just draw the construction line. So which is down the center line here. But we'll just draw. I'll do it this way. Right. So we'll draw any line here. Doesn't matter. All right. Press escape, or it'll keep drawing lines. Okay. And what we want to do, it says to make the spline tangential rectangle, sketch a short construction line tangent to the spline itself, not to a handle or a spline point. Alright, so we want to select this, make it vertical. Okay, so now it'll still move around, but it'll stay vertical, but we want it to be on this line here. So if you want to add a relation, you need to select the first item, hold down control, select the second item. So these are the two items that we want to relate to each other, and what we want them to do is collinear. In other words, we want them two lines to be the same line. There they go. And then the last thing I'll do is click construction to make it a dotted line. Alright, so there's our line here. Okay, so So it says, make the endpoint of the construction line coincident with the rectangle. So we've done that. We've actually made the whole line coincident. Okay, and then last thing to do, we want to make this curve tangential to this line. So remember, we select the curve. We want to relate it to this line here. Hold down Control, select the other one. So now we've both of these selected, and we want to make them tangent each other. There we go. Right, so it hooks onto that line there. Alright, that's fine. Then on to the next page, it says adjusting the shape of the spline. So in the reference dim sketch, adjust the shape of the spline by dragging the interpolant points. Select fully defined spline. Right, so in other words, just if you look at the booklet there, just try and make it as close as you can to that curve there. This is about the only time that you really guess what you're doing when you're drawing a spline. You kind of have to do this one by eye. If you were doing another mouse, you'd probably try and get as many measurements as you could. Maybe the apex of a curve, so how far down is that apex of a curve, maybe you could add that in. How far in is this part of the curve here, but for this one we're just going to do it by eye. Alright, so we're going to try and get as close as we can. So I think this point here, I was close enough the first time, but maybe this drag this fell up a little bit. Now you'll know you'll be able to move it because the thing is blue. The thing is blue, it means that it's not defined, so you can still move points around. Alright, so I'm happy enough with that. Alright, okay, so this is the only time that you'll use this tool, is for a spline. Alright, so you've got if you zoom in here, you'll see this point is black, which means the point knows where it is. In other words, it's on the point 0, 0, 0. And this point is black because it knows the size of that box is 122 high, and it knows that point is vertically 122 above it. Everything else, it doesn't know what it is. This, you see the two blue points on that, it knows that that line is on that, but it doesn't know exactly where them lines lie. So if it's blue, it means not dimension. Right. Okay, so to add in dimensions quickly to these points here, you just right click on it and you go fully defined sketch. And then, do you want all entities in the sketch? So yeah, we're going to calculate all the entities on the sketch. And there we go. Right, so it's added in these random dimensions. But it makes our sketch fully defined. So we can take that, and now you see the whole thing goes black, and I can exit the sketch, and you see there's no minus beside the sketch. If there's a minus beside it, it means the sketch is not fully defined. Okay, so it says to change that, the name of that, to base edge. So delete, double click, and we select base edge. Okay, done. Right, so we've two sketches done. We're closed out of both of them, so there's no icons up here, so it means I'm closed out of it. If I ever wanted to go back into the sketch, if I wasn't happy with it, you just right click on it, and then you can go edit sketch, and that'll bring you back into the sketch that you were doing. So I'm back in base edge sketch there, and I just click out of it to get back out of it again. Okay, so you got a third one to do. So the third one to do is going to be a little bit outside that. So we're going to sketch a top profile of the parting line. Okay, so open a new sketch and top reference plane. Right, so new sketch on the top reference plane, and so I'll open the sketch. So I select top reference plane, select sketch, and now I'm sketching again on top of the third one. Okay, the endpoints of this spline should have vertical relations with respect to the base edge sketch. Right, so it means that where I start this should be right above that. I should add a relation, say it's vertically above that, and should be dimensioned as shown. Right, so we're going to put this sketch outside of this one, and you will see that that it wants it 5.5 away from here. Right, so we're going to go vertically above this. Right, so I can just hook it on. If I go to this point, I've clicked nothing yet, and just drag it up, you'll see the dotted line going out, so now it's making it vertically above it. And then I just want to click here about that distance out, and I'll try and make it like an even distance outside of the original mouse. Right, so I'm going to go right about here, go down about here. I don't want to see the way it's hooking onto the line there, that orange. When it lights up orange, it means that if I click there, it's always going to be on that line. I don't want that. Right, so I'll just click it out here. Alright, and then down here, and I'll drag it away from that point there to click the last one. And remember, it'll keep drawing points unless I press escape and it cuts it off where it was. Okay, that's not too bad. Alright, so let's add a few relations to this. So it's saying it wants us to make that point vertically above that point. Alright, so if I click this point, hold down control, select the other point, these are the two we want to relate to each other. We want to make them vertical to each other. Do the same with the file on the bottom. So I want to select that point, hold down control, select the other point, and then make them vertical to each other. Cool. And I press escape so that I don't keep them selected, right? So they're vertical to each other now. Alright. Okay, going to add a distance of 5.5 away from the two of these points. So I go into my smart dimension, and I click this point, click the other point, click out here, and make it 5.5. So it's going to change that distance to 5.5. Cool. Okay. Do the same with the bottom 2 points. Select this point, and they're going to be 5.2. Alright. We want to do the same as we did with the handles the last time. So we want to make these this fella horizontal. So I select the point at the end. Actually, this time it's the arrow. It's the arrow this time. Right. So I select the arrow, and I make that handle horizontal. Remember, if that's going to be doubling over, it wants to be tangential here, or a nice little even curve. Right, and I do the same with here. Select the arrow, it's horizontal. There we go. Alright. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to kind of adjust this around so that it's kind of a nice even curve. Maybe. Right, you can't catch the spline, you can only catch the points that you clicked on. So if I catch this point and kind of move it in here, I'll try not to hook it onto a point, right, that's not too bad. Catch this fella here. Actually, he's a nice distance away, it's just I need to move that curve out a bit so I can just catch the handle that it's on. So if I just catch the handle and just move it out like that, there we go. Alright, that's not too bad there. Okay, this fella here, I can move him in a bit. Right, maybe there. And maybe drag the handle out a bit there. Alright, I don't want to fiddle around too much. Alright, that's not too bad. Yeah, I'll take that. Alright. Doesn't say to fully define it, but it does say exit the sketch and name it profile tops. Alright, exit sketch and rename that sketch. Delete, double click, profile top. Okay, done. Right, so there. Right, and you'll see actually this time, look, see the minus in front of it. So remember, we never fully defined the sketch, so that's just telling us that sketch isn't fully defined. Now, I'm not sure why you do that, but it hasn't done it in this in the book, so maybe there's a reason for it. Alright, usually you would make sure that your sketches are defined. Alright, so the next one we're going to do is sketch the side profile of the parting line. Right, so in other words, what we have here is we have the base of the mouse along that line. Alright, now this outside line is actually that 3D sketch, or that 3D the one the kind of outside of the mouse that we were talking about earlier on. Let's see it here. Oh, right. That's going to form. So that's the inside one we did. What was that called? It was called reference. Or no, it was called. It's called. The one that was called base edge is this fella. So on the base. Alright, and that outside one is this outside edge here, which actually isn't sitting on the ground. It's just going to guide this little curve along here on the outside. So we need to draw the other curve, this one here, that's going to combine with the first one we were on about to make that 3D curve. So to draw that next one is going to be drawn on this right plane. Alright, so we're going to draw this like profile along here and combine the two of them to make that 3D curve. Okay, so to do that, it says open a new sketch on the right plane. Alright, so there's a right plane, select sketch. Alright, so now we're drawing on the right plane. Okay, you see sketch 4, that's open there. Alright, so we want to look at 90 degrees to it. We'll hit spacebar, hit normal 2, and now we're looking in there. Okay, so it's kind of like the shape, like a top of a car or something. Right, so we're going to draw that spline. So it says the ends of the spline should have a vertical relation with respect to the end points of the spline on the profile top. So in other words, they need to start vertically above that point and vertically above that point and end vertically above that point. And it says add a horizontal relation to the handle at the end of the spline furthest from the origin. So when we finish off the spline over here, this handle has to have a horizontal relation. And then exit the sketch, name profile side. Okay, right, so we'll select our spline tool. Alright, it's not select, oh no, it's okay. Right, so I'll start it above here. It's about there, it's fine. Okay, so we're gonna just following the sketch now in the book. Right, so I have a nice one here. Okay, it goes up to, next one is beyond, halfway. About here. Foot there. Foot down there, and then all the way down to the end. Right, so that's be vertically above. It doesn't say, see the way it's hooking onto the one to the left? It doesn't say it has to be there, so I'm just going to make sure it's not hooked onto it. Right, then I'm going to press escape to get rid of the end of the line. Right, so one thing it says is this fella here, this handle has to be horizontal. So it's the point this time, right? Select horizontal. Okay, that's fine there. And then it says that this point has to be vertically above that point. Now, if you think about that, I'll just press down there. When I'm trying to select this point here, that line is in the way because it's the curve is coming around here and feeding the point here. So it's blocking the point in front of it. So I'm just going to move around the sketch here just so I can select both of it. Just hold down the mouse wheel to manipulate the views you're looking at it from. Right, so I'm just going to move it around so that I can select this point. So I'll select the point, hold down control, select the end of the sketch, make him vertical. Alright, I'll do the same with this fella. Select the point, hold down control, select the point, make him vertical. Okay, just let me have a look at that. Right, that's close enough to the sketch we have there. This curve's maybe a little bit more even. It's maybe there. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, well, I'll take that. Right, cool. Right, so it says to exit the sketch and name it profile side. So I'm exiting sketch, delay, double click. And name it profile side. Okay. And you can see the minus in front of that there because I didn't mention it. I would usually, it just hasn't done it here, so I haven't done it. Right, so save document, I will. It says document hasn't been saved for 20 minutes, so just click save just to make sure that if anything shuts down, I still have it. Okay, close out of that. Right. Okay, so now we have this curve here and we have this curve here on the outside. And them two curves are going to combine to form this 3D curve on the outside of the mouse. Okay, so to do that, what we need to do is we need to project curve. So it says search for project curve command and drag the command into the sketch toolbar. Use the sketch on the sketch option. Select profile side and profile top. Two of these are going to form it. Rename the projected curve. Right, so to turn on your curves toolbar, you want to right click out here and make sure curves is selected. Okay, so it is there. Right, so I'll just turn mine off and turn it on. So there's the curves toolbar. Right click out, select your curves toolbar. Mine pops up here on the right, yours might pop up here somewhere. Either way, it's going to show somewhere. And what you want to do is you want to go into this tool here, this one here, project curve. Alright, so I'm going to select that, and what that does is combines the two sketches for us. So the two sketches that we want to combine, you can either select them straight there, or if I couldn't see them, if they were in behind something, you can open up your tree here and select them off your tree. Alright, so we want profile top, this outside curve here, and we want profile side. Watch what happens. There. So you can see that little yellow line combines that bottom one and it combines that one there. Alright, so I get this nice little 3D curve here which will form the kind of the outside of the mouse. Alright, so I select that. Okay. Now, So the two sketches, they haven't disappeared, they just get swallowed up by whatever feature you use. So I've used this sketch and this sketch in this one here called curve 1, and if I want to get back, if I want to use them again ever, I just drop down the tree and there are the two of them inside it. But it's fine that they disappear. Right, so it wants me to rename that projected curve, so delay, double click, and I call it projected curve. Okay, done. Alright, next. Right, so we want to create loft profile sketch. So what's going to happen now is this base at the bottom is going to be like projected up, like that's going to form the outside, or the surface on the outside of this. So if you imagine that shape flowing up onto that shape, that's going to be the outside of my mouse. Now I don't want it to jump. You know, if I didn't give it a guide for it to go from here to here, it'd just go in a straight line, which isn't actually what happens on the mouse. It's like a nice little curve going up here, and it's a nice little curve going on the outside up here, and then it's going to have a nice little curve going up along here as well. Alright, so we're going to put in them curves. So they're just guides for the surface. Okay, so it says to make these, open a new sketch on the right reference plane and sketch a pair of arcs as shown. Okay, so I select right plane and I'll open a sketch on that. I'll hit spacebar and normal too, so I'm looking in. Alright, the arc. Okay, so we need to sketch two arcs. Okay, so I think the arc tool that we'll use here, here's the arc tool. Now the one that's automatically selected for me is a center point arc, which is not the one I want. If I did select it and I wanted to go back, just press escape and go back up, drop your arrow down, and the one we want is this 3-point arc. So the center point arc means that wherever you click is going to be the center of that arc. A tangent arc means you're going to select the line to draw an arc onto, but what we want to do is a 3-point arc. So a 3-point arc means the first point you select is 1 point on the arc, the second point you select is the second point on the arc, and then the third point is going to be the center. Alright, so that's going to be, that's the one I'd usually use. Right, so I know that one of the points in the arc has to be on here, so I'll select that. I'll know another point has to be on the end of this. No, it doesn't select it, so I'll just maybe it does. Right, it is selecting it. Okay, now just be careful where you click the third fella, because that'll make it, you know, a right angle. I'll just make it anywhere for now. I can add in the dimensions after. Okay, right, so I got that fella there. And what it says about this arc, it says the arc near the origin should be tangent to a line 15 degrees from horizontal, and the other arc should be simply have a radius of 10 millimeters. Right, so the first one, I need to draw a 15 millimeter line here and make that arc tangent to it. So you can see now it's blue, which means, you know, it doesn't know what it is. It doesn't have any. It just knows it's hooked onto that point and that point. So I'll draw the line. So this time I'll just draw a straight construction line. So I'll just draw a line out like that and stop it anywhere. Press escape to get rid of the tail, and then I select smart dimension. So I'm going to select the line and this line, and then it'll allow me to mention an angle between them, and the angle we want is 15. Okay, done. Alright, so now I've got this line going at 15 degrees through the origin. So what I want to do is I want to make that arc tangent to that line. So I select the arc, hold down control, select the line, make him tangent, and there we go. And it's after turning black. Now, if I'll just take off that coincident point for a second. Just that this, if your arc was like that, we'll say, and you wanted to make sure it hooks onto there, you just select select the point and select the line and make them coincident. Right. Another thing you want to do is you want to select the point, you want to select that line, and you want to pierce it through it. Right. So in other words, if you imagine that's like a bit of thread and this is the top of a needle, you wanted to go through that just to make sure when we're making them 3D that they're linked together. So select I'll do it again. Select that projected curve, select the point at the end here, and pierce it through it. Alright, and you'd see this little fellow pop up here, pierce point. Alright. Okay, so that's that one done. You can see it all gone black. Alright, we do the same to the other side. I'm just going to look in normal 2 again because I went a bit off there. Right, so I'll draw my next tangent, 3-point arc. I'll select the end of the point here. Is it going to select it? It does. Right, select the end of the point here. Select. Right, I'll just make it anywhere for now. Right, and I'll go there. Okay, so what I need to do is this is coincident at the moment. If it's not, just select that point, select the end here, make it coincident, make sure the two of them are hooked onto each other. Okay, I'll select that point and select that point. Select that point, select the curve, make them coincident, and I'll also pierce them. So I'll do that separately just to make sure you see it. So select the curve, select the point, pierce. Okay. And you'd see it's still blue, which means there's something else to add, and that something else is a radius of 10. Right, so select that, smart dimension, select the line, yeah, and make it 10. Done. Okay. Right, so that's the two of them curves done. Both gone black, both pierced, happy with that. Exit sketch, and okay, done. Right, so the last thing we need to do, right, so we have these two outside ones. The last thing we need to do is add a little curve going down here, or a little arc that'll just make that not jump straight up there like a sharp edge. So to do that, as you know, if we're going to draw something, we need a plane to draw it on. We need a 2D surface, and we don't have one. If you imagine me drawing an arc in the middle of that, all I have so far is the front plane, no good, top plane, no good, right plane, no good. So what I need to do is I need to create a plane to draw that on. Alright, now to create a plane, I need to go into features, I need to go to reference geometry, and I go plane. Right, so now this is going to create a plane for me. So I don't have a plane, but I can reference this new plane to something else, right? So I'll drop down my menu here, and what I wanted parallel to this front plane. So if I select that front plane, you'd see this, the highlighted blue one there is the option they're giving me, and what they're giving me is right, there's the front plane as a reference, and it's giving me 10 millimeters out in front of that, which is not what I want. What I want is a plane that runs through this point. Alright, so to do that, I'll select, I don't want a distance, I just want it parallel to the front plane, so I select parallel. Alright, now it's just giving me this yellow one, and I want it parallel to the front plane, and I want it through that point, and you'll see there, that's the plane it's giving me now, which is the one I want. And I'll tick that and say, and I'll rename the plane mid plane. So mid plane. Done. Okay. Right, so we draw this curve. So it says open a new sketch on mid plane, reference plane, sketch an arc. Okay, right, so I want to look in 90 degrees to that, so select the plane, select normal 2. Alright, so it wants me to select a sketch on that arc. Right, so I'm going to sketch on that arc. Okay, so now I'm in mid plane sketching. Okay, so it says sketch an arc, so I'll do a 3-point arc again, and I'll just turn it around here so I can see what's going on. Right, so it wants me to hook the bottom onto this point here, which is not selected at the moment. We can do it after, right? So I'll put it close enough to it, and the other one's going to be hooked onto the top here. It's not selecting anything, but we'll just put it close enough to it, and then I'll just make sure it's arced out like that. Right, so press escape. Now we've an arc. It's not it, but it's close enough. Right, so it says add a coincident relation between the bottom end point and the spline point. So the bottom end of that, so I make sure I press escape, and I've just a blank cursor. So I select the point on the spline. Right, it's not selecting. I'll just select the spline itself, and I'll make them coincident so it'll jump onto that. Why is that not doing that? and pierce it. Alright, when you pierce it, it selects onto it. Alright, so I made a coincident and pierce it. Now it jumps onto that spline there. Okay. Alright, and then and I want to do the same with the top. So I select the point and I select the curve and I select pierce and it jumps onto it. So now you've got this little arc on this plane and it's hooked onto both, it's piercing through both of them. So imagine like a two-sided needle, don't know why you'd have one of them, but a two-sided needle and with a hole on top and bottom, and these lines are passing through it because we pierced them. Okay, alright, so we just need to add in a few dimensions to this. So it says draw a construction line between the two ends. So I'll draw a construction line from there down to there. Okay, alright. Okay. Use the smart dimension tool and select the construction line and then hold the shift key and select the arc. Okay, so I go back into smart dimension. Now, in smart dimension, if we're dealing with a curve, if I select this line and this time I hold down shift and select the curve, what it'll do is it'll give me a dimension for the kind of apex or the highest point of that arc, perpendicular from the first line that I selected. Alright, so I'll do it again. Press escape. I want to go smart dimension. I select the line, hold down shift, and I select the arc. Okay, there we go. And click that, and the size I want to make that is 1.25. Okay, select enter. And now when I press escape, you'd see that that's all turned black, so that's fine. It knows exactly what it is and where it is. So I'll press I'll exit the sketch, done, and then I'll rename it mid profile, done. Okay, right, so I have a nice little setup here. I'll just I think I'm done with that, so I'll hide it. So I'll just right click that plane and I go hide, just so it's out the way. Alright, so I have what I want to do now is project this surface or this sketch up onto that surface using these lines as guides. Alright, so to do that we want to create a surface loft. So use the selection manager to select the open profiles at the ends. The mid profile sketch will not require the selection manager. Okay, so I'll just do that. Okay, so we're going to make a surface. Alright, now if your surface toolbar isn't turned on, you need to right click up here and make sure that this surface toolbar is selected. Right, mine popped up on the left, yours might pop in up somewhere else. And what we want to do is we want to do a surface loft. So if you scroll up along this surface toolbar, you'll see this one here. It's like a little silo or something shape. This fellow up here, it's a lofted surface. So that's the one, is it? Yeah. So that's the one we want to do, lofted surface. So I select that. Now, first thing it wants is the two profiles. So you'll know it's looking for you to select in that box because it'll be lit up blue. So it wants this bottom profile. So we know we're projecting that onto that. So we're going to select this and this as our two profiles. And that's not it, because you'll see here exactly what we didn't want it to do. It jumps straight from here to here as a straight line. Alright, so that's why we added in them other lines to make sure that it's a nice little curve. So we're going to use them curves by selecting this box and selecting our guide curve. So we're going to select this fella here and we'll tick it. See the way it curves around now? We'll select this fella here and we'll select this fella here and we'll tick right click. See the way right click is a tick on it, so we'll just tick that. Whoa. Right, I don't know what happened there. Right, so I'll right click on this. I think it closed out of it actually when I did it. So I'll just right click on it to go back into it. Edit feature. You'd see that this profile is selected. I'll just go back in here and make sure this last fella is selected down here. So this is the last sketch that we did. Just make sure that's selected as well, and I'll tick that. Alright, so now it has all three of them selected. You'll see there. See the way it's moving along that line there, and it's moving along them two on the outside. Okay, so now I can tick it. So I make sure my two profiles are the bottom and this projected curve, and then our guides are the two outside curves here and this fella here. And when I've all three of them selected, I take it, and then I actually do have this shape made. Okay. Okay, is that done? Right, so next thing I want to do is, so now we've got up as far as, you know, where the buttons are, underneath where all the action happens up top. The profile that goes down onto the base of the mouse is there. Alright, so next thing we want to do is we want to draw a curve on the top of the mouse. Right, so it says open a sketch on the right reference plane. So I open sketch. Right, so I want to make this curve. If you imagine the curve on top, that the buttons are going to be down here and the wheel is going to be up here. So I want to make that outside curve. Okay, so it says open a sketch on the right reference plane and sketch a partial ellipse. Okay, back into sketch. Sorry, press escape. Press right reference plane. Back into sketch. Okay. Partial ellipse. We'll select the center as close as we can to where it is. Right, so maybe we'll try it this way. So we'll start by starting the sketch down here somewhere, and we'll draw at an angle like that, maybe closer to what it should be. There, like that. Okay. Right, we'll go something like that. Right, so it's going like that. Okay, and we'll extend this for pierce that fella onto the end. Okay, then we're going to drag this fella out here. Alright, so I'll select this point here and I'll pierce it through this point here. Okay, right, it's more like it. Okay, then I will draw a center line from the center up to here. Okay, looking normal to it now. Okay, I make the angle between that and that 117. Okay, and I'll make that distance 63.5. Okay, and I'll make the distance from that, the center point, to the base, I will make that 28 millimeters. Right, done. Okay. Right, so that thing should be all dimensioned, so I can just close out of it. Right, there we have it, and then right, okay, no minus in front, so that means it's good to go. Okay, so this is going to be top of our mouse here, so we're going to that surface is going to be hooked onto that surface there. Now it's going to jump straight, same as what we were doing with the surface loft. It's going to jump straight from here up to here, so we need to give it like some sort of guide so that when it does jump up to there, that it's a nice little curve coming around like that and finishing up straight on top, so that when we do double it over, there's no point on top. So what we need to do is give it a surface to be tangent to. So at the moment all we have is a sketch, so it can just jump from there to there. But if we project the surface straight out here, then it'll know, right, I need to come up here and then flow onto this surface going straight across here. So we're going to just project the surface out, and it doesn't matter what distance we project it out, so that, and give it a guide, and then we'll hide it afterwards so that you can't see it. So I'll select this surface here, and I want to extrude surface. So we already have our surface toolbar open, and I want to go extrude surface. Now when I click it, it gives me surface going in the way, which is not what I want. I want it going the other way. So to reverse the direction, just click this arrow here and it reverses direction, and I select OK. It doesn't matter what distance it is, -10, that's fine. Alright, so it's going to be disappeared after anyway. Okay, so I want to hook this projected curve onto this thing here. So we're going to fill the area between, so we've got a kind of a closed profile going around here all the way to here and up, so we want to fill in between here and make a tangent to it on top. So if I go fill surface like this, and it's asked me, right, what's the boundary, what do you want to fill? So I want to fill all this from here and this curve up here. Select it here. Right, selects there. Now if it's not selecting for you, it means that you've selected the sketch instead of the edge. So if I just delete that, so what you need to do is just make sure that the sketch isn't on that, or it isn't hooking onto the sketch. So to do that, just go into your surface extrude and just right click and make sure that's hidden. Mine's shown, but if it was shown, you'd see the grey sketch there. So you just want to make sure that that's hidden. Alright, so there we go. And when it's hidden, you can select the edge of the surface instead of the sketch. Alright, okay, so see the way it's jumping up there? So that's not what we want to do. We want it not contact to this boundary, not contact. We want it drop down this, and we want to make a tangent. You see the way it switches to a tangent? So now it's a nice little flowing curve, and I'll select that and it's done. Alright, now this fella's no good to me anymore, so I'll hide him. So I'll right click on extrude surface and I'll hide it. Okay, so now we've got our half a mouse here. Okay, after that we want to mirror that. So we've got our shape of our full half mouse, and now we're going to mirror it over. So we select features. When I go into features, and you'll see mirror up here. So you want to mirror. Right, so it needs to know, right, what do you want to mirror it over? So we want to mirror it over this plane that's in between the two of them, and that plane is called the right plane. So you see there, that right plane is the plane in between the two of them, so we want it to mirror through that. And then the next thing it wants to know is what surfaces or what features you want to mirror. So you want to mirror this surface loft on the bottom. Maybe I'll just select it out here. Ooh. Maybe I'll start with this fill up to that. So the surface fill. Sorry. Bodies to mirror. Sorry. Select. Go back up. I want to select bodies to mirror. So I go bodies to mirror, and I want to do this fella here on the bottom, the surface loft, and I want to do this fella here on the top. And now it's selecting both of them, and it's going to mirror the two of them through the right plane. And I want to make sure that it knits surfaces, and so click to mirror on the features toolbar, select right reference plane as the mirror plane, done. In the bodies to mirror section list, select the lofted and fill surfaces to be mirrored, uncheck knit surface. Leave the knit surfaces option clear, this way there will be no confusion about what will or will not knit by the mirror feature. Okay, so we'd select that off, and we'll mirror it like so. Alright, so now we have the full mouse. Okay, so we've mirrored it across. Next thing we need to do is we need to close the bottom of it. So you'll see that there that the bottom of it is open. So to close that, we're going to select all these areas here, all these sketches, or sorry, all these edges at the bottom. So this fella here on this side, and this fella here on this side, and we're going to make a plane out of that. So to do that, we go planar surface. So see this fella here? So create a planar surface using a sketch or a set of edges. So we select that, and we select this edge, and we select this edge. And now we see the yellow plane it's going to make out of it. Alright, so now it's closed the bottom of it. So it's still hollow. So even though we have our 3D shape, the thing is still hollow. Actually, I can hide this sketch here. Just I don't need that anymore. So just sketch on any, or right click on any line on that sketch and hide it. Okay. Right, so the inside of that is hollow. So to make it, this won't look any different than what's there. But you can, when you do this, it just fills up the inside and makes sure that the whole thing is solid. So to do that, we're going to use this knit surface. So you see here, knit surface. So it combines two or more adjacent non-intersecting surfaces together. Okay, so we select knit surface, and now we want to select our 5 surfaces in total. So we've one here, one on this side, one here, and the fella at the bottom, and it'll enclose everything then. Right, so we select this fella here, this fella here, this fella on the right, or on the left, sorry, this one here on the right, and this one here on the bottom. Okay, and what we're going to do is knit them together and form a solid, create solid. And we're going to tick on merge entities, right? So hopefully it works. Right, so now all of these are together and it's one solid object. Alright, when we're done with that, we're going to make this gap between so that it looks like that this is a button to click down. So we're going to make a little gap in here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take like a little chunk underneath that button there, so that it takes the same chunk underneath all along. So we're going to extrude cut this. So on the right plane, we want to select right plane, select normal 2, and we're going to sketch just a little. If you imagine this is like a little saw, this shape is a little saw, and it'll travel around the curve to create the same distance in around the whole of that curve, right? So we'll select sketch on that right plane, select rectangle. We can leave it in corner rectangle, so we want to start it right on this lip here. So we click that, and select any size for now, press escape, and then we're going to make the size. It needs to be 1 high, so we change that to 1, and it needs to be 3 wide, so we select 3 there. Okay. That's fine. Done. Okay. Now it says to convert that top sketch or that top curve into a sketch on the base. It says select top plane, select sketch. Okay, fine. Right, so we want to draw a sketch on this plane here, and what it wants to do is it wants to project this curve here 90 degrees onto here, so you get a nice little curve outside. It'll actually match the original curve that we have, that original, what's it called, profile curve, is it? Right, so if you select this curve here and select this curve here, right, I'll hold on control and select that curve there, 2 curves, and I select convert entities, and see the way it projects it down onto the bottom. So in other words, that's the curve there projected onto that plane in the bottom. Alright, I can tick out of that. And then it wants to make this sketch here, or these projected curves, it wants to make that also a sketch. Now we'll know that this isn't actually a sketch that's on a plane, it's like a 3D curve. Alright, so all we need to do to sketch a 3D curve, we need to go into a 3D sketch. So we can't select a plane to sketch on, we're going to select a 3D sketch. And what we're going to do is we're going to select this curve here, hold down control and select this curve here, and we're going to select convert entities, and watch it now turn black. So now these edges are going to be actually a sketch. So there you go. Right, so that whole edge there is a sketch. Alright, now so what we're going to do is we're going to cut, see that little rectangle there? We're going to have that rectangle like as a little, the outside of a saw, and it's going to go around and cut in that distance and that height in underneath all of that sketch. Follow that point, will lock onto that edge there, follow all the way around. So we're going to do a sweep cut, it's called. Okay, so to do that, right, we have our sketches set up. I'll just exit that sketch. Alright, so now these are the 2 sketches I'm going to use, this rectangle and this fella here. So I'm going to features, and I'm going to go to sweep cut. Okay, so what a sweep cut needs, it needs a profile, in other words the saw that it's going to use. So this is the profile here, alright, and it's going to need a curve to go along, which is this 3D curve that we did. Now just make sure that selecting the whole 3D curve, this one here, right, I'll do it in my tree, right, so this 3D sketch, and then you see the way that rectangle goes all the way along, cuts underneath, and I'll tick that. I'm happy with that. Oh no. all bodies. Okay, right, done. Alright, so that's that done. Okay, so now you can see that little bit of cutting it underneath there. Alright, that's fine. Okay, after that we want to do a center cut. So we want to, as if these are two buttons here, you know, we want to separate the middle of that surface there, so that I have a right click and a left click here. So I'm going to select the right plane again. So I want to select right plane, looking normal too. Okay, open another sketch. Here we go. Alright, and it wants us to draw a line up through the middle, so a center line. So I'm going to hover. Now I want to find the center of this, and to find the center of it I just hover over. See the way this yellow point is highlighted? That's the center of what we have there. So I'll select this fella here. I won't hook it right onto the top, I'll just put it there. Okay, like that. And then I want to draw a line. So that's a vertical line. You can see it there, it's vertical. I want to draw a line at 30 degrees to that. So select the line 30 degrees. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I select the line, and I'd smart dimension it so that that line and that line have an angle of 30 degrees between them. Okay, and then I want to select this edge up here, so here. Alright, and I want to convert that into a sketch. So there we have a full sketch. And now all that I need of it is just from here down. Okay, so there's a tool here called Trim Entities. And if I select, I'll just save it there. Start popping up, right. So if I select Trim Entities, and I go Trim Closest To, you'll see here, see the way there's the scissors in front of it? Right, so it's going to cut this line. So it's going to cut it closest to, so whatever's cutting through it. So here it is, that line is cutting through it. So if I select that, you'll see it cuts up as far as that line, and that's how much of it I want. And we're done. Right, so that there is going to be the line. We're going to have a little cut going through all the way up here. So if you imagine the same as we did last time with the sweep cut, that's the line this is going to follow, but we need to have a little profile on the bottom, a little saw on the bottom to go up along that line. So we don't have a plane to draw that on, so we need to draw a plane. So to make a plane, we'll go back into our features, we'll go reference geometry and plane. Alright, so what we want is a plane that is 90 degrees to this line here. And we wanted 90 degrees to the line. Sorry. Perpendicular. And we wanted, sorry, yeah, perpendicular to that line. And we want it perpendicular at this point here. So you see there it pops up. So now I have this little plane that's perpendicular to this line. It would have followed all the way up here, but I want it perpendicular at that point because that's where this saw is going to start, on this point. So I'll tick that, and now I have my plane to draw on. So I select the plane, select sketch, alright, and there's me now looking down along that plane, and I want to draw this, I'm going to draw a little square